being here. I'm going to call the next meeting, July 8th, 2019, to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those in the audience, we're trying to fix that echo. Okay, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add something between public comment and consideration. Considering approval of 2019 payment plan and have real estate authorization added there. That's agenda item number 3.
Motion to add an item? Second. Michael? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, we'll add real estate resolution to item number 3, which is right now, we'll go to public comment, and we'll come back to that. Is there anyone here for public comment for an item that is not on the agenda?
I have a brief public comment.
How are you?
Bob Farrer, I live on Ferris Street, and I came here with the intention of trying to find out what was going on with Ferris Street in terms of paving. But I talked to Marty just before the meeting started, and he put my mind at ease. I think the city's doing a great job of paving. And this year, great, last year's great. I do a lot of walking on Messenger Street, High Street, and it's excellent. And Marty has not 100% assured me, but pretty much informed me of the plan for Ferris Street next year, sidewalks, curbing, and so forth. So that answers the question that I had, but I do feel the city's doing just a great job on the paving of the curbing and the paving and the sidewalks.
Thank you both. Appreciate
That's all I have.
Just to make note of that, Marty always leaves a little bit of an L.
I know it's not a guarantee.
Bob, it's not 100%, it's about 98.
I know it's not a guarantee, but if it doesn't happen next year, I'll come look.
All right.
He knows where I live.
Bob, thank you for those comments. Oliver, comments?
I have one about indoor basketball courts in St. Albans. There's really only one, and that's the one at Collins Pearly. Sometime during the winter, and even when it was too rainy or too wet to play outside, it would be hard to find somewhere to play because that one would be took in or already occupied, and I don't know what you can do about that, but there's no options.
Sort of that. I'm not promising it, but I did run into the General of the National Guard, and they're looking at trying to be more community friendly relative to the armories. And this armory here out by the high school does have a basketball court in it. His platform is to try to make it more welcoming to residents. So that may be a possibility moving forward. It's something that he and I just spoke about it within the last 3 weeks. So I had reached out to him about engaging the National Guard more in their Memorial Day and Veterans Day celebrations. And we talked about the armories as well. So there may be a possibility there.
All right, thank you.
We will continue to focus on that.
So that's a change from their current stance.
It appears that way. He wants to make it much more community oriented. Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3. Consider approval. Number 4, sorry. Item number 4, consider approval of 2019 paving plan.
No.
Just added this. Oh, right.
It's never 100% guarantee that Tim's gonna do
I'm not good with change. So we're entertaining a motion to accept the real estate resolution relative to the Artisan Residence Gallery. Do you want to read it?
Resolutions at your seats.
Everyone has a copy? I can read it for the audience so that you are aware of it. Whereas the City of St. Albans, the city, is a municipal corporation, and whereas the city owns certain real estate, real property located at 10 South Main Street, which the city leases to the Artisan Residence Gallery, and whereas Artisan Residence Gallery desires to purchase the property from the city, and whereas it is in the interest of the city to sell the property to Artisan Residence Gallery, and resolve that the city shall sell certain real property located at 10 South Main Street, St. Albans, to Artisan Residence Gallery for a purchase price of $145,000 pursuant to a purchase and sale contract dated on or about even date herewith. The mayor of the city is authorized to execute and deliver the aforesaid purchase and sale contract and to execute the terms thereof, including but not limited to executing and delivering a warranty deed conveying title to the property. So I entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I move the city sell 10 South Main Street to Artisan Residence Gallery, Inc. for a purchase price of $145,000.
Second by Marie. Any questions or comments?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, Jeff Wilkie. Is the purchase and sale contract signed, or is that going to be signed simultaneous with this resolution?
It'll be signed simultaneously.
Forthwith.
So, and we will date everything today.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Extension or one.
Tim Hawkins abstains. Everyone else is on board, so the motion passes. We will now move on to what I believe is item number 4. Consider approval of 2019 paving plan. Marty will give us an overview. And then we'll have discussion and vote on this.
Good evening. So you have before you our proposed list of streets to pave. As Mr. Farrar had mentioned, we're trying to follow the sidewalk project. Last year we did Messenger, Farrar, Upper Newton. Year before that we did Hoyt. Federal was done last year. Unfortunately, doing that is at the expense of some other streets that may have not had sidewalks done, but are in need of paving. Typically, we try to rotate through every 10 years to get the street. So this year here, we're proposing, we've got some big stretches to do this year. Lemnot Drive, the entire street, cold plane and pave. We've got to build up the shoulders on that as well. Lincoln Avenue from Upper Gilman to Fairfield Street. Diamond Street from Main Street to Burnell Terrace. Lower Weldon Street from Main Street to South Elm, and then South Elm from Lower Weldon to Lake. High Street will be done from Fairfield Street North to Lakeview Terrace. And this is being done in participation with the state, so we have some grant money for that. And the town is also doing their section of High Street at the end. So that's kind of convenient that we're able to do that entire street. And then Savage Street is a dead end street off Aldous. And if we can, we're gonna try to do a little more of Upper Weldon if we can, from maybe Main to Lincoln Avenue, if we're able to get, depending on how the paving totals come in. These are all estimates from Wickham. We had Wickham and Pike bid, and Wickham was the lowest bidder.
Marty, how do these prices compare to previous years?
They're a little higher. Asphalt's a little higher this year, but not dramatically. Cold plating was about the same as it was last year. And the advantage of doing cold plating is we're able to save the reveal on our curbs. We did sewer repair on High Street early this spring, and there was about 12 inches of asphalt on that street. And over the years, had that been cold plain, you wouldn't necessarily require the curbs that we're doing, so. It's a good investment to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, James?
I want to ask Marty, any word on upper Albans yet, and whether or not we're going to be able to fix around those railroad tracks, because that is just a horrible place to drive.
Yeah, so I met with John Mayo from Genesee, Wyoming, about a week and a half ago. He said that they were planning on trying to get those repairs done this year. I had a representative from the co-op at that meeting as well, and we agreed to participate in the paving of it, pay for the asphalt. And I've sent that information off to Mr. Mayo, and we're waiting to hear back from them as far as what they're getting for quotes and a timeline to get it done.
Thanks, Marty.
Yeah,
And the consensus was it was pretty bad, and that
they agreed it was, and obviously we use it. The Public Works uses it as much as anybody with our equipment. And the co-op has a ton of trucks going through there, so everybody recognizes the condition of those, and the railroad is very aware of it as well.
Here, Marty, so you said that Lincoln's gonna get done from basically the south end up to Fairfield? So
Yes.
I know that on the section just north of that, between Fairfield and Bishop, there's a couple of pretty big potholes. Are those gonna get?
Yes, we'll do our repairs on those,
Okay.
and then it would be the intention next year to finish that section from Fairfield to Congress Street.
Great, thank you.
And then do Lower Bishop as well as part of that
Right.
with the sidewalk project, so.
So I'd just like the record to show that the only council person benefiting from this pavement is Councilman Spooner, is that correct?
No, I think Councilmember Laddison, Councilmember Hawkins,
I mean directly in front of their house.
this is true.
So, Marty, quick question. The road really deteriorated, so last time South Elm was done, I'd say 11 years ago, 12 years ago, not 3 years ago. They only did the street and didn't do the parking, and that is where it deteriorated.
No, we're doing the parking as
You're
well.
doing the parking
Yeah.
as well, okay.
Yeah.
Because if that seam wasn't there, I think the road would have held up a
Right,
lot
and they're
better.
gonna try to shim it, so it brings the flow down to those catch basins in the middle. There's a couple of telephone poles, I think, that are buried in there. We're gonna take those out, so.
Those always pop out as much in the
Right,
spring.
yeah, that'll all be, we'll take care of those, and then they'll do that entire
They're
area.
really good speed bumps for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Those are gone, right, the speed bumps,
Speed bumps.
Yeah.
and High Street speed bumps are gonna be gone too.
Yeah, those will get co-planed out. There's not much left of them,
No, they're,
but you can see where they were, yeah.
We didn't do it, did we?
We put them in, but that was back,
They'll put those.
yeah,
they're really wide, it's almost like a hump.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Marty?
Oh, one quick one, I just wanted to ask on the state fund, was that a class 2 grant? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
I know it's not paving, but we talked about the curbs on the lowest block of Upper Weldon. Just to reiterate, you're gonna try to get those done this season too?
Oh, yeah, those are probably gonna get done. I think his schedule showed him going there either this week or early next week. They pulled one section out, but the gas line was embedded in the curb. That's when they had the gas leak.
Yeah.
So they've had Vermont Gas come in and do a bunch of work, changing that old steel line over, and then they'll finish that section.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it'll actually be, they're trying to widen that in Diamond when they did it. When they did Diamond, they widened it about 18 inches on each
Yeah,
side,
that's
so,
great.
and realigned the intersection, so. It's working.
Are we budgeting enough for paving? You think?
We could always use more.
Well, I know, okay.
But we talked about that this morning, Tom and I, in looking at that for next year. The other thing we would like to try to do is, the state does it with crack sealing. With like on Upper Newton and Farrar, those streets were just done last year, to go in this year, maybe seal the cracks that were caused by the concrete. I think you can probably get a couple more years out of the streets if we do that. So trying to build that into the paving budget as well. And we've got a local contractor that's gonna give us a bid to do that work, so.
So the state's really taking some, an asset management approach and doing a lot more of that preventative maintenance, and it seems to be really paying off. I'm wondering, since, you know, we don't have that many miles, if we can take that same kind of inventory approach and try to do some math to figure out if that really.
For the crack ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would if we could go hit every street we paved the year before and do it, I think we could get a lot more life out of them and just track it and see.
People all the time are coming to me and saying, oh, you know, why are we going back and doing work on that road that we just paved 2 years ago? And it's, well, so we can get.
Well, I think the other thing, and we've talked about it, we had over a dozen leaks this winter, and probably 9 of them were on streets that we paved last year. And I think one of the issues was when they compacted the pavement, they used a vibrating compactor. And I think that probably shifted stuff in their old lines and everything. It doesn't take much and once it shifts and you have a little frost in the ground, it doesn't take much to pop. So we're gonna take care of that this year as well, make sure that they're not using that, so.
The streets are holding up better when you cold plane them. So when we used to pave over just pave over it, literally within a couple of years, it was all falling apart.
Right.
The streets have been cold planed and then paved, it seems to be holding up a lot better.
Yeah. So in preparation for that, for the paving, we've got about, I think between valve boxes, catch basins and manholes, there's about 60 that we've got to go in and lift or replace in preparation for the paving. They did the one on Bank Street today, so they started that work today, so.
I was very appreciative.
And Tim, just a comment on yours about paving. I think there were 2 or 3 years in a row, we had very little paving on the side streets because we were using it for our big projects here in town, so.
We don't do it anymore in the budget committee, we make sure it's outlined.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the paving destruction, not just the salt, is a lot of our having to dig up water lines, sewer lines, and stuff like that. And I don't recall in the budget that it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And maybe we ought to start allocating a percentage interest to.
Excavation fees ourselves.
Yeah, we've got, well, we do, when we do a water leak, we charge ourselves for that excavation. So, in defense of Alderperson Spooner, I will say that we put new curbs, new sidewalks, and paved Rubley last year. For what that's
Yeah, I
worth.
remember that.
And as I tell people, I think you paved my brother's street too.
Twice.
Twice.
Chad's been on the council long enough now, you know, 10-year cycle.
Right.
One last thing, I ran into a constituent of Kate's ward, and he was very appreciative up on Diamond Street of the work that's been done there, and so to repeat what Bob has said, very pleased with the outcome on Diamond and the way it looks, and so he's very complimentary of it. So.
Good, well, thank you. They're doing a good job.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the 2019 paving plan as presented to the council tonight.
Thank you, James. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kate. Any further questions or conversation?
I just want to say, usually this comes before the Public Safety and Quality Committee, but because we've been pretty much following the sidewalk and curb project, Dom asked me if it was okay to bypass us, and I said, absolutely. Just because the last, like I said, 3 years, we're just basically following wherever the curbs were done, so. That's it.
Right. We have a first and a second. Is there, everyone all in favor say aye? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Marty, I think where we have you, just anything else on, I know this isn't the public safety ordinance, but anything to share on how that's moving forward, progressing?
The public health and safety.
Health and safety.
It's, we meet weekly. It's going well. We've got, the properties that, we've probably got half a dozen properties that are foreclosed on, that we have banks engaged, with us as far as keeping the lawns mowed and stuff. We've got, I think, 2 right now that haven't. We've got one on North Elm over by the bottom fields that the property owner has been in contact with us and the bank won't allow him on the property. So we've reached out to the bank and we're issuing fines on those. It's, you know, it's tough. You have lawn sales and garage sales and stuff, and whatever doesn't sell, the people seem to put them out in the green belt and leave it out there for free, and we usually give them a couple of days to get rid of the stuff or whatever, and then we'll contact them, and people have been pretty responsive once we contact them to clean it up. But there's unregistered cars, there's a lot of other stuff going on out there, so seems to be working pretty well. Had a conversation with a property owner on Russell Street today that it's a vacant lot, they have been mowing it and everything, and they don't get engaged until they get a bill in the mail for their monthly fines, and that usually gets them in here to talk, and that's what we're after. So we're not after the revenue necessarily, but to get them engaged to try to solve the problem. We've got 2 or 3 other ones that we're gonna help. They're parking in the front setback and stuff. We'll go in with our equipment and clean out the stone and bring in some topsoil for them and stuff, and work with them on that stuff. So they've been receptive.
And the house on Lake 279 or around there, I see that's
Yeah,
renovated.
that's
Nice to see.
there's 2 actually side by side that are in the process of being renovated. Yeah.
Can I spin off on that conversation? Do you think that we could craft something so that the commercial building graffiti comes under the PSO, so that we can get people who have commercial buildings that have graffiti on them to get it off and down? Do you think that comes under that?
I think we could. I mean, we could certainly craft an ordinance to that. I think in this latest spree, as soon as we found out about it,
Yeah.
Matt Moharan grabbed a couple of his guys from the fire department and cleaned them up. They didn't get everything just because we weren't aware of everything that happened, but
Some cuts in the street, right?
I think in those there, I think these kids are probably gonna end up going through community justice, and part of their sentence is we're gonna have them paint those buildings and stuff. And repair the damages that they did.
Well, what would be the timeframe on that? I had that on my list to bring up later, and we've got one right here next door that doesn't look good coming into City Hall.
They're pretty quick. It's probably gonna be a month or 2 before we hear from them. But they'll get referred to them pretty quickly, and we can reach out to them and let them know as soon as they're referred to let us know they need to do community service as part of their sentence.
And we address this.
But we could certainly hit that one. Yeah.
Did we clean that stainless steel building on the, by the railroad tracks right there from my land? There's a big.
I think Matt got that one. They hit our elevator in the garage. We got that the next day. They hit the garage, they hit another one back here, and then they hit the alleyway between Twigs and Eaton's that Matt took care of. But I can confirm that one.
Okay, so I do have some stuff, and I'll stop at the PD and let them know, where I found it and what it was, and then I can clean it up, so I can get that one if it's
Yeah.
still there.
Those guys, as soon as Matt hears about it, we had the last time I called him up and asked him to take care of it, and he'd already done it, so. They work pretty quickly.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Marty, appreciate you coming.
Yep. All right, let's see what.
Thanks for coming in. Is there anything else under 4 we should be addressing? Public safety or? You have any other council discussion on any of that? No?
I came to DRB this past week and discussed the Shanksville Shopping Center at length with some of the stuff that's going on up there, the appearance and the windows, the lighting, the driveway, the wall caving in by Fitness. And it seems like they're gonna take some steps to take care of that stuff, but I'm not so sure how fast it's gonna happen. And I'm just wondering if we need to bear down a little bit on them if they haven't done it within, say, 10 days or 15 days. Some of that stuff would be tidied up pretty quickly. Some of it's gonna take a little bit. And I don't expect them to pave the entire driveway either, but I do expect them to fix some of those things where you can not see your shoe when you step in the crack. So, I don't know how fast they're gonna do it, but I attended, I seem to be pretty well received by those folks, but I'm not so sure they're gonna be in a big hurry to fix that stuff.
If you get a chance to bang out and email just what you're seeing, what the list is.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to number 4. Kelly, you want to come forward? So, that's sort of number 5. I understand all of these.
You don't have it right
So number 5 on the agenda, council briefing on the fall Hardak concert. Kelly, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, first I want to thank our friend Oliver here for, I don't know if the council knows, but he's our gatekeeper at Barlow. He locks up the gates and opens them up, and it keeps the neighbors happy, because not all the neighbors like the gates open all the time, so that's terrific. Thank you. And he is also right. I get calls all the time. People are looking to play basketball inside, so we'll just throw that out there. The Afterglow is a concert at Hardak. The Recreation Commission and the Hardak Board had been looking for the last few years to do an event up there, and unfortunately coincided, or is in memory of AJ Holscheider, and his family is putting that on in conjunction with Heritage Toyota and 14th Star, with the major sponsors. It will be a day of concerts from noon until 10 o'clock. There will be food trucks there. There will be an NCS information tent. There will be children's activities. It's just basically a full day of family event. And I didn't know if you're looking for something specific, or what I have are the sponsor brochures, so they are not event brochures necessarily. They're the brochures that they're soliciting sponsorships from. Funds from this, it's free to go. It's $20 to park there. There's a VIP section, so that if you want to pay a little more and get a t-shirt and sit up front, you can do that. They're hoping that this is an event that everyone and anyone can go to, and that there's no cost associated with it unless you want something a little more. The funds raised from this will benefit Hardak and the Learn to Ski program and the Recreation Department. And they're hoping to cover all costs. And Jamie Lee Thurston has basically donated his time, and the balance has been underwritten by Heritage Toyota. So there aren't a lot. All the other musicians have also donated their time, so there's no entertainment dollars attached to it, just the sound system and a stage.
So do you know what the layout is, where the stage will be?
Hopefully, depending on where things are with the lodge, you know where our trailer is right now? That is where they're hoping to bring in a portable stage, or set up a stage right there. So the stage would be at the base of the hill, and then people would be on the hill to watch and listen. And then food and entertainment and all of that would be down on the lower parking. And we've removed the remnants of the rink up there, and it's all stone, so we've got lots more space where like food trailers that can be set up. So that's where, right now, that's what the plan is. And parking on the upper new grass area, and parking on the back fields. And we're also hoping that people will walk or carpool as well.
There's gonna be plenty of portalets and stuff like that there.
Yes. I mean, I think we ordered or looked at 18 or 20. It's hard to know how many people will be there and what's enough, but there will certainly be a lot of them.
It's gonna be weather dependent.
Right.
It's a beautiful day.
It will be
80 degrees. It's gonna be packed, I'm sure.
Right, and we're working with Jason Weatherby as far as security and traffic and parking and concerns that police may have.
Who would be responsible for cleanup after Johnson?
It would be the committee, I would say. It would be the rec department, it'd be the Hardak board, it would be, whenever anything happens up there. The users of the space have been really respectful as far as taking out their stuff, or at least putting it in our dumpster. But when there is a mess, it's us.
Are you gonna mow some of that, or do you guys already?
It has been, they don't like to mow too much of it, but this year they've mowed an extended area, so the front of the hill is pretty much all mowed right now.
The date is?
September 21st, a Saturday, yep.
So none of this benefits suicide prevention or?
Well, I think there's been talk of that, but I think NCSS is happy to have the tent there and have access there and talk with people. And that there are other donors. We've set it up on our website so people can purchase like a VIP pack or a sponsorship, or they can volunteer their time. We've been talking about that, and I don't know if funds necessarily will go to them. I think they're glad to be at the event and in the space and having contact with people.
So in conversations that I've had, some concerns are this would be a multiple ongoing potential event, not specifically
Yearly.
this, but not only yearly, but a concert every 2 or 3 months or something along those lines. Is that something that the rec commission has entertained, or is this just a one-time?
So certainly we want to utilize HARDAC as much as we can. An event of that scope, I don't see. Would there be another concert there? Possibly. You know, I think it's, depending how this goes, it might be a great venue for that kind of thing. Maybe not to the scale of this one. And it is something they want to do annually. But I think I see, and you know, who knows, it depends when the lodge is built and all of that, as it being a venue for events, more like weddings, parties, that kind of thing, where a tent can be erected beside the lodge and used for, you know, like a wedding or a birthday party or something like that.
And the required hours?
John's working with the sound guy. That they're not positive on, and they're talking with Gary Schwanier to make sure that the right, that they can pull the power from the pump house over in a manner that is easy in and out. And actually, when they build the lodge, there's a panel on the front of the building, like a door that will have a quick connect for all those kinds of things in the future, so we won't be running lines and cables and stuff.
So we'll move on to council comments and public comment, but first, can you give us a quick update on the lodge and status and timing and all that?
So a design has been approved by Jackie Brown and the HARDAC Lodge kind of committee. The placement has been approved up at HARDAC, and we meet on Wednesday, I believe, this week to hear what the numbers are coming in. It has just gone out for estimates, not necessarily bids.
You hope to break ground with the house, depending on numbers, but.
Right, I mean, they're very ambitious. They would like to break ground in August, and whether that is a reality or not, you know, time will tell. But they're anxious to get started in this construction season.
How many square feet is it?
Oh, jeez,
Estimate?
sorry.
50,000, it's
Sorry.
probably more than 1,000.
I couldn't tell you in my own home. You know what, it has, yeah, the square foot thing. It always, do you remember?
I'll have a rendering for you on Friday when you guys come in for that meeting. It's been scaled down considerably with an effort to cut the cost in half.
Okay. You're about 1,800, by the way.
That's what my home is?
Yeah, about.
Okay. I'm gonna say, no, I'm not even going to.
Your parents, on the other hand, most likely.
We'll have to adjust that assessment. We have.
Anyone have questions on the council for John?
About the road? Anything ever gonna happen to that road?
What's that?
Anything ever gonna happen to that road?
Actually, the master plan shows the road moving, not, you know where the entrance is, well, obviously, you know where the entrance is right now at the intersection of Fisher Pond Road and Congress. The master plan shows moving it on the other side of the dog park, so you would enter from Congress Street, much easier.
Saving it or anything like that?
I mean, someday, probably, maybe, but it was just graded, the city grader broke, because they usually are able to get there in the spring, because every spring it's gonna be.
It's a dust bowl.
Yeah, and pitted, but they have leveled out, it's in good shape now, I mean, it's still dirt road, but it's in good shape right now.
That's something we can work on with the town together.
Michael, any questions?
Tim, do we have a chance to comment on this?
Yeah, we'll be right with you. Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. If you have comment, please come on up and state your name.
Sure. I'm Al McFeeters. For those of you who don't know me, I live in Eastview, which is a development in the town. And it consists of 28 townhouses. There's 7 doubles and 14 singles. There's 28 families. We're the only development that butts Hardak. We've had a good relationship with them over the years. On occasion, we've had vehicles that have got locked behind their gate and have come up through our properties and driven on our street. That pretty much are taken care of with some big stones. However, we still have had a couple go through. Look, we want to be very upfront with our position here, is that we are not against suicide prevention efforts. We are not against the Recreation Department raising money for their programs and so forth. But what was there is a very nice recreation area for skiing and sliding, and most of us all did that if we lived around St. Albans long enough. Soccer, skating, and so forth. And this looks like this has gone into a full-blown musical venue. This guy, the headliner, Jamie Lee Thurston, is known to drive 4,000 people. If you ever go around there on a Saturday morning where the kids are playing soccer, there might be as many as 100 cars, if that, there. And they're lined up from the parking area all the way over to the dog park, right up against Congress. So if all of a sudden you've got 3,000 people climbing around in there, we don't know where the cars are going to be, nor do we know where the people are going to be. Our concern is our property. Our concern is our safety. Our concern is that people are going to be parked all over the place. We don't know, nothing has been mentioned about security of any kind. All we know is that there's 5 bands playing. Are you familiar at all with what's really going on there? Has anybody ever, I brought copies of what's on Facebook. The only way we even find out about this is Facebook, okay? If I may, can I pass you each one of these?
Next time you come out, could you enlarge these a little bit?
I want you to know that when I met with the mayor on the 24th of June, I knew more about this than he did. But that's not anything against you, Tim. It's just that you and I, neither one of us are Facebook junkies.
They're not Facebookers.
Neither am I. We have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns. Obviously, the population of who might be there is a big concern. I don't think that even as a council, or even I think Hardak people themselves ever envisioned putting 3,000 people on that property. God help you if it rains. Because if you're going to park on the grass, which is what apparently is proposed, because you're looking, from what you said, Kelly, all the stuff is going to be on the gravel park. Food, and the other thing that bothers us the most is that this is alcohol involved here. This is after dark alcohol involved here. Because it goes to 10 o'clock at night. And there are 2 breweries involved here, and there's also some wineries involved here. We have nothing against alcohol ourselves, believe me about that. Everybody takes a drink now and then. But the issue is, what's it going to be like after dark with alcohol in that little recreation area? Who knows? We don't know, and we have lots of questions. We wanted to get on the front side of this before it got out of hand. That's exactly why we're here. With me, I have the lady who's the secretary of our association. Debbie is our treasurer, and the other lady, her property backs right up to Hardak, right up to the fence. There is a couple that live in there, again, their property backs up to the fence where the rope tow goes up through, and she's on hospice right now. How's she gonna handle this? This has got 5 bands in it, not just Jamie Lee Thurston, but there's 4 other bands if you read the thing. So that's our concern, and we just want to, we understand that for the most part, you don't know a hell of a lot about this. We don't know a hell of a lot about this either, but we want to find out about it And certainly, we're not gonna be in favor of this every year, nor are we gonna be in favor of this every 3 months. This is a quiet recreation area. That's what it started out to be. And I don't know how it ever got turned into anything else. And I will welcome your comments, or you can ask these folks, and probably have some comments as well.
You know, I would just say that Hardek has been and wants to continue to be a good neighbor there, and there aren't, we haven't done this event before, but certainly everyone involved wants it to be a great family event, not what you're envisioning. You know, we have lots of kids' activities going on. There are there are 2 wine tents and 2 beer tents, and those are all, they all are licensed,
I realize that.
and they're very protective of their,
Will anybody be able to walk outside that tent with a beer?
they're in an area, yes.
So you've got a fenced-off area of some kind where the...
Each vineyard, or well, there's 2 vineyards and 2 breweries, they have to send their license application to the state, and they indicate what their perimeter is and what their area is. And if a fence is required, we've done that before with like snow fences, that kind of thing.
Okay. Has any thought been given to security at all?
Yes, we've been,
Alan, why don't we do this? The city has a fair amount of experience with events in the downtown, Maple Fest and the Wine Food Festival in the fall, and events in City Hall. We've got a whole team dedicated to this. We hear your message that we haven't inspired your confidence, and you'd like to know what the plan is. The best place to do that is for the staff to get together with you, with the team that runs events, and we'll walk it all through and see where we're at the end.
So you're suggesting that we meet with Kelly and her team?
No, it's beyond Kelly's team. It's the chief of police, it's the lieutenant in the police department, it's our public works director, and it's everybody that's involved in the event. That's how we do Maple Fest. And if it's a big enough event, we write up a binder and an emergency plan for what happens if things go bad, and do that for every one of the events. And we're happy to include you in that.
As you can see, our main issue is we're not in favor of the event.
Yeah.
What we're not in favor of is where it is. It should be at a place like where the Franklin field days are, or a big place where there's lots of room and there's lots of place to park, and they've had thousands of people there already. This is just, Hardek's just a little park when you come right down to it. And now you're talking about having everybody sit up this hill. Part of that hill is leased to Hardek, I know, from Aldous Hill Trust. I don't think they ever envisioned that that's what it'd be used for.
Your main concern I hear is protection of your property.
We don't want anybody walking on our property.
Understood. I mean, you have larger issues about the future of the property up there. But right now, you're mostly concerned with making sure that your property is protected and you're minimizing the impact.
But we gotta protect our citizens.
Yeah, we can do that. This is really similar to the conversations we have with other folks that are right around when Maple Fest occurs or when we're shooting fireworks off in the park. These kind of conversations that we've had before, and we'd like the chance to sit down with you.
Well, are you folks then gonna put together the people that we need to be talking with?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Then why didn't you do that?
Pardon?
Then why don't you do that? Put together the people that you want us to talk with, and we'll talk with you. And we'll get down to the bottom of things. But right now, like I say, the only thing we ever found out about it was right here in Facebook, and that's wrong, in my opinion, to begin with. But that's beside the point. That's already happened. Our fear is it's just gone too far. Let's face reality out there. Apparently, this Jamie Lee Thurston's already been paid $5,000 to be here. Now, I know it didn't come out of Kelly's pocket.
no, it was from Heritage Ford and Toyota, yeah.
So there's things that have gone on here that are way beyond what you think is just the scope of this. Would you guys like to add anything to what I've said around said, ladies?
I guess I'd like to just say something. My name is Debbie Bluen, and Kelly said that You didn't mention anything about suicide prevention other than the fact that they're gonna have a tent. You said that the money is for the recreation department, but that's not what Afterglow says. Afterglow says that it's for teen suicide prevention. And if you're gonna be talking teen suicide prevention and family fun day, why are we having alcohol and beer and wine? To me, that is, it doesn't even go together. You're not telling the teenagers anything. And that is one of my real problems with this. And it is, it's our home. And, you know, even when the kids are playing soccer, we continually to have people going across. Well, I can only imagine with 3,000 people and what kind of crowd you're gonna get there. People aren't gonna probably wanna drive, they're probably gonna walk. And if it's at 10 o'clock at night and it starts at noon, they're gonna be loaded.
So you know, a lot of this, I'm happy to accept some city responsibility for it. I think, unlike other events, this event, the city's not out front is the main part around this. John Holschreider, who lost his son, is out in front, trying to do a celebratory remembrance event. John's in a leadership role with Hardak. The city now owns Hardak. And so we've been feeling our way through it as these relationships evolve. Your points are well taken. Maybe we need to put more officers on that night. Maybe we need to get a number who you can call. Maybe we need to have a specialized patrol on your street. These are all problems we can solve. I think it's too late to cancel the event and say it's not happening there. And the city's happy to, and I'm happy to own that piece and say we should have done more as the owner of the property for outreach.
So we're gonna suffer for your mistake?
No, I'm offering to go do everything we can to try to make it work for you. Okay, I'm not offering to cancel the event, but I'm offering to figure out, I'm offering to problem solve it.
And just as Alan said, if you don't want to cancel it, have it at field days. Have it in the park. You can't have it at the complex because there's alcohol.
Well, I would say let's move forward with the suggested, committee get together with.
So you're gonna you folks are gonna make a committee together and contact us.
Dominic will pull together all the department heads that are impacted by this. Kelly will bring her committee to the table, or representatives of, as will you, Ellen, and hash out details to try to get to a point where it works.
Could I possibly make a comment as well? I just have a question. My name is Cheryl Harton. As Alan mentioned, my home butts directly up against the fence. My husband and I and our 12-year-old son are right there. And so this event can be a little disturbing in that I'm concerned about people walking up against our house. It happens winter, summer, spring. People walk through the yard and directly down to Hardak. There's no fencing. There's nothing to protect our area, our land. I keep toys outside. I can't keep his bike outside. There's a lot of things we can't do because of its location. But one of the things that I'm seeing here, and I looked at the ordinances in the city, and I think we've got an issue because we've got a town residence area, but a park in the town owned by the city. So in the town ordinance, they're talking about regarding sound, there's a talk of reasonable precaution, and it states here, all reasonably necessary precautions to ensure the sound of the assembly will not carry unreasonably beyond the boundaries of the enclosed location of the assembly. That's, by setting that stage up in my backyard, there's no control of that sound. And not only in the backyard, you're facing our homes. So part of me says if you were doing the concert way out in the extended soccer fields where it's not as close to the residences, it might be less impactful to the residents. But because it's literally, 150 feet from my back door, you're not controlling that sound in any way, shape, or form. So that, how disruptive that is. I've been inside concerts, I've been outside concerts. That sound is extremely disruptive, and we can hear things going on at Collins Curley at our home. So imagine that being in your backyard. That's my point at this time. You know, that's one of the major things. Safety is a big thing. How many cars you're gonna have? There's no control over the number of people who are going to be there. I mean, are there limits to the number of people you could have in a public event like that at one time within a, 8-hour period of time? So you're talking 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. When this word gets out, it's not just St. Albans. When word gets out, Jamie Lee Thurston is a big name. He's been around for 30 plus years or 20 plus years. He's somebody I followed way back in the day. We've been a resident for 15 years in this community, and we've worked great with Hearth. We enjoy it, we want it. But for the purposes that it has right now, you're starting to impact our community in a negative way by adding this big of an event. It'd be great if it was a small event. I get AJ, I get the loss. I know his mom and his sister well, and so it broke my heart, as it did many. And I get why we're doing this. But I think it's really important to think about, this would have been great to start small. One band, one small local band, but not starting out with 5 bands, 2 wineries, and 2 breweries. It's just dangerous. We're asking for trouble to start.
Okay, I think we're gonna move on. We have a motion on the go. Don, you'll take the lead on it. Alan, and you share your contact info with Don, and we'll try to move this forward in a cost-effective fashion so that we can have those discussions.
To Don's comment, we realize the fact that it has gotten so far that we're never going to get canceled. I realize that. Some people don't, but I realize that happened. And after all, it hasn't gone by any of you people, to my opinion, until tonight. Am I right there?
That's
And
we don't approve recreation, I mean, that's not, we don't approve that. I mean, I'll approve soccer camp every year, I don't approve, that's just not what we do. We don't.
So this lady has free reign.
No.
Like ever job.
That's why we have.
That's what we have city manager for.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ready to go.
We're moving on to item number 6. Ellie, thank you for coming in.
All right. Yeah.
This is a sponsor. Brochures not paid that.
Chip, you want to come forth on the Historic Preservation Committee?
Yep. Continuing our pursuit of certified local government status with National Park Service and Vermont Division of Historic Preservation, it will allow the city to access grant funds for historic preservation education activities, planning for rehabilitation, and sometimes also funding for actual rehabilitation activities. And really the most important step the city needs to take to do this is to create a historic preservation commission, which will comment on historic preservation issues from time to time and as needed in the city. It will look at the historic surveys and inventories we have and make sure that they're up to date and come up with ways to keep track of historic buildings in the city that we'd like to be knowledgeable about. And also the Historic Preservation Commission would write the grants associated with funding that comes with being a CLG. So what's before you is basically it's an example ordinance that creates the HPC. It's comes right from the Vermont Division of Historic Preservation, and I went through it, adjusted it as necessary. It basically, a couple key things is that out of the gates, it establishes an HPC of 5 members, but it allows the city council to adjust the total number of seats from 3 to 9 by majority vote, by resolution. You can also appoint members by resolution, and there is some text in here about, to the best extent possible within the community, making sure that the members have some sort of specialized professional expertise in historic preservation or architecture or historical architecture. There are 3 different kinds of architecture you could choose from, for instance. And we ran this by our planning commission and our design advisory board. Both groups are in favor of this. The planning commission in particular was a little worried about the professional qualifications that are expected amongst HPC members. When I called the state architectural historian about this, he assured me that they really rely on that line. Where is it exactly in the ordinance? Something to the extent available within the jurisdiction of the city, at least a majority of the Historic Preservation Commission members. He says that's our out. We can just do our best to recruit members who have the most professional or specialized experience we can find. And the state helps us with everything else.
As you know, it's tough to find any individual sometimes to serve, so filling those, I get what you're saying, but
right.
to fill those voids and then that title associated with it will be very difficult.
Well, I have 2 thoughts in that regard. First of all, this is a board that, under the CLG program, is only supposed to meet 4 times a year. It can meet more, but it has to meet at least 4 times a year. So it's a quarterly commission at the most. I know we have some members of our other boards and commissions who probably would be willing to do double and stay on their current board, but also join this HPC for its meetings. And also, I think the Historical Society and the museum would help us with recruitment too.
Was there any consideration of having the director of the museum, for instance, or somebody else who is obviously somebody who has some of that knowledge base be an ex officio member?
Well, I think that person could be an ex officio member, or if the council wants, it could be a voting member. Not every member needs to be a local resident either, if I read this correctly. As with our other boards, every once in a while the city council is able to appoint someone who has a viewpoint that's important, but they're not a resident of the city.
Any other questions for Chip?
I was going to just say that I was really concerned about, the qualifications before, just because we're a small city and I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have any graduate or college education in any of the architecture within the city or the state, and they know a lot more than some people that I would say are educated in, local architecture. So I'm glad that we have that kind of out a little bit, where we can get some locals on there.
Yeah.
And we're just doing the first reading, Chip?
Yes.
I'll move that we approve the first reading of the ordinance for the establishment of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second.
Second by Chad. Any other questions for Chip? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No opposition, first reading passes.
Just one last thing. If I see enough nodding heads, as we prepare for second reading, I might start doing some recruiting now and start looking at getting some folks lined up. So if you do adopt it the next time you meet, we would be a little further in terms of actually staffing up or getting members for the commission.
Good. Thank you for your work on that, Chip.
Okay.
Moving on to item number 7, adoption of updated state road and bridge standards.
This is an exercise we do, I think, every year, and it's for 3 reasons really. The first is that having adopted the state's road and bridge standards is important for receiving VTrans highway and structure grants, like the Class 2 money that we've used to pave Federal Street and High Street. It's also required for FEMA funding for disaster mitigation planning or for getting funds if there has been a disaster. And the third reason would be that, a lot of these standards are in general a pretty good idea. And I see this year with this update, there's a lot of thought that's gone into resilience of your road network, especially in light of water, storm runoff, flooding. There's actually some water quality and the ability to appropriately manage stormwater in these standards. There are some of them that are required under our MS4 permit, but there are others that in general are just a good idea, even if your road doesn't run eventually into one of our impaired streams. So I've recommended that we adopt all of these standards, and also informed by the Vermont Better Back Roads Manual.
Chip, are there any significant things that you would want to highlight that are going to be cost drivers at all for us, or is it pretty, or is there anything unexpected that's in this update in particular?
No, I don't see anything that's unexpected. I think one of the things is we're not required to build to their water quality standards on streets that aren't hydrologically connected to Rug Brook or Grice Brook or Stevens Brook. I think all of our streets are, but some may not be. They might go somewhere else eventually. But still, the specifications, the ditching, everything in here does help appropriately get water off of your street and into a place where it should be, for the purposes of water quality, but also efficiency and the health of the street itself. We technically have an out to a lot of the ditching standards, because if your street does have catch basins, you're allowed to use the catch basins for a runoff. And then it's just a matter of, through our MS4, dealing with all the water quality requirements that come with the fact that we have a stormwater system.
Do we have a bridge count in St. Albans City? Or
I think we could get one. I don't have one handy at the moment.
what's the determination between a bridge and a culvert? Is it? I mean, most of everything is a.
Probably more an art than a science. This is probably more of an art than a science. I don't know, but I do know that we have an inventory and they're all numbered. And we keep an eye on some of them. The Lemna Bridge, for instance, we're keeping our eye on that one. It has a posted weight limit. The Lemna Drive Bridge.
So what about like the one on Lower Weldon? I think it's I want to say it's a box.
I believe that's considered a culvert.
Yeah, that's a box
Yeah.
culvert. And that's almost as big as the one on Lemna Drive, which is a bridge because it has I-beams going across it.
Yeah.
A bridge has a superstructure, so you've got to have at least I-beams or something that's actually physically supporting the roadbed, whereas the culvert is just allowing there to be space for water to pass.
Yeah.
But there is a point at which it's like, okay, well, this is a semantic difference.
Right.
But yeah, a bridge technically has to have a superstructure like those I-beams or some pillars or something that's supporting the road there.
Anyone have any other questions for Chip?
I move that we approve and adopt the state road and bridge standards for St. Albans City.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike.
Just out of curiosity, Chip, these are due, we have to approve these by August 1st, right, in order to, so what would the consequences be if we didn't approve these? Would we then, as of August 1st, not be eligible for FEMA grants?
I think during that time, until we do approve it, we would likely not be eligible for those grants that require it. But I think once we eventually did approve it, we'd be back in their good graces.
And we do have our city town meeting on July 22nd. We can do a sneak second reading.
If we did approve this and.
This doesn't require, this is a one-off, it doesn't require 2 readings.
If we didn't approve this and there was flooding, would that mean there'd be no mitigation? We wouldn't be able to apply for mitigation after the fact from FEMA?
That's the way I read the situation. We wouldn't be able to apply for those mitigation planning funds until we were adopted with a new rule.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the adoption of the standards passes. Yes, James?
I noticed that there's, the council has to actually sign this document, and I'm not there. Can I authorize you or the city council president to sign my name in my absence?
I believe we'll have a majority anyway.
Okay.
It's not necessarily,
We can always mark approved via phone. Yeah.
we can do both things.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to item number 8, which is consider the approval of extra territorial allocation for Champlain Valley Clinic.
I don't know if you need me for this, but I'm here.
How are you?
Okay. I'm the architect on the project.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Can you give us some background on this? This was, we addressed this in June as well, right?
No, we had hoped to, and we didn't quite have all the materials we needed.
No, it was okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward. You know, it's an expansion of an existing business. It's not gonna move and come into the city. We need some water and wastewater capacity. That's what the affiliation fee program is there for. Anything you would add?
They're building a new building.
Building a new building, the same.
Move the folks from the old building to the new building, demo the old building.
That's right.
And maybe someday expand a little bit in the new building.
The application is probably 5-10 years hence in terms of the capacity. But the other thing I would say is that the state changed its wastewater calculations recently for veterinary facilities. And before, they used to say 750 gallons per day for small and 1,500 gallons per day for large. So now we run the calculation, and the projected calculation with expansion is 728. So we're still smaller than the small.
Motion to approve the extra territorial wastewater allocation.
Motion by Tim, second by Kate. Any other questions or comments?
We just added water and wastewater, correct?
Yes.
Motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the allocation passes. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Sorry for your wait.
Okay, enlightening.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we have a resolution before you updating the assistant treasurer list.
Motion to approve the resolution updating the assistant treasurer.
Second.
We have a motion by Tim, second by Jim and Mike. Just for,
If Tim's on a delay, I think you should give it to him. He's got to get him.
just so people know, Curry is on vacation, not able to be here, but she did send me an email just updating this. So,
And can we not have this type of information in our package from now on? Because I think I know Sarah very well now. So I understand the other information, but as far as the application itself, I don't need any of that. That's got too much information. I think I might get a credit card tomorrow or something. I appreciate it, thank you.
so we have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, resolution passes. Item number 10, consider approval of union contract with the city and the AFSCME Local 1343. Tom, you have anything to share on the?
Tom handle it.
Sure. I think I summarized it pretty well in the cover memo. Really, this contract was about giving us some more stability in the public works crew. We've had that at the water and wastewater plants, but in public works, we've had some turnover the last few years that we're trying to remedy. Some of that's through a change in the leadership team, and some of that is through wages. And the updated wages are just reflective of the tight labor market we're in today. The rest of the changes in the contract were generally minor and administrative in nature.
How long was this process taking?
A few months. The police union and contract took about 9 months. This took a few months and a few meetings.
Any questions for Tom? Entertain a motion to consider approval of the union contract? Or to approve the union contract?
I move that we approve the union contract as presented.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Steve. It was Kate, I thought I heard it. So I'll second by Kate. Any other comments for Tom, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So approved. Thank you. Tom.
Hey, Tom, before you sit down, are we gonna, worry about the liquor control board at the next meeting?
Or that's up to you. Curry said she'd like to see you pass it, and then she said all the information was in the packet, I believe.
There's a liquor control application in your package coming in from the St. Co-op, and they've changed ownership, and just like any other business, they have to get another license for the same name. Nothing's really gonna change, nothing's changing. So this is, I think it's very minor on the liquor control board agenda. We didn't warn it. So
Can we add that to the agenda? Or do we have to warn it?
Did this go out?
It went
That
out.
went out, but it's not on our agenda. There's no recess to liquor control or nothing.
Yeah, so that, the recess is just for like guideposts, when we're
Oh,
running.
yeah. We did get that.
So this went out.
Yes, yeah, we had it in our packets.
Did this get posted or anything though? That's what I mean.
No, it wasn't in the agenda, which gets posted.
Yeah.
I would say we add it to we can cover that July 22nd.
Yeah, I don't think.
That ownership, I don't think has changed yet, has it?
in the event that she needs to get that application in for the owner, can the council approve a temporary authority to grant her the authority to approve it and pass it on to the state of Vermont, just so there's no lags or anything with what's going on down there?
Can we find out, because we could always come in or do.
We're also gonna all be meeting July 22nd, we could do a 5-minute.
Is it, Marty, is it gonna, are we need it before then?
I don't think so. It's not gone before their membership yet.
Membership hasn't voted on it yet, so.
And then once it goes before then, it's gonna be a while before it's.
Curry's point to me was more that it's.
I think you'll have time to approve it before.
Okay.
So we'll table that. It wasn't on the agenda, but we'll add it to the July 22nd.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
It needs to be before that, unveiled.
Yeah, I can
call.
Thank you, Tom.
Motion to approve warrant 6/14/19.
Second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Kate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, warrants passed for 6/14/19.
Motion to approve warrant 6/30/19.
Second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Jim and Kate for passing or accepting the 6/30 warrants. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, warrants for 6/30/19 has been approved. Moving on to mayor's report. A couple things. We've started the discussion regarding the car show. I've had conversations with Dom and Marty. Car show will be on Main Street. They got moved thinking that Kingman Street was gonna be dug out, and that never materialized, so planning went forth. So cars will be located on Main Street, which will be blocked off between Lake and Kingman, and some cars will be parked in the park as well.
In the park?
In the park.
Yeah, where in the park, you know?
This is sort of a mixed bag, not heavy, probably more towards, if you know where obviously where the farmer's market is.
Yeah.
Sort of encompassing around the boundary of the farmer's market. Once again, that can change depending on how many cars show up, but that's sort of the thinking at this point.
I'm just wondering about damage to the park. Well, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be very, very careful, but as long as there's some people there taking a look at it. Yeah.
Hopefully it remains dry.
I'm sorry, I missed that meeting. I wanted to go to it, but I was unavailable for some reason. I don't recall why.
So we're
moving up to Hardwick.
So we're moving forward.
It's a smaller.
We're moving forward with that. Tree plantings look great, to Dave and his and Public Works, the new trees around town, I think look wonderful. I think that's an investment that will be, is something we want to continue year after year if we can. Looking for any kind of type of comments relative to the combined city-town meeting agenda for June 22nd. We hope to do, I'm sure we'll talk sidewalks, proclamations, a few other things. So if you have anything you'd like to see in discussion with the city and town when we meet, we're not sure of a location yet, but there'll be more information coming.
Sidewalk to Hardwick is definitely.
Sidewalk to Hardwick, the other discussion is the connectivity of the Fairfield Street one, which is short by 100 feet. I'm looking at a chance to measure that, Marty.
I can't, we can get it from out, what property is that?
So just connecting that sidewalk as well. Other thing I had was, museum is doing a number of different things, just since we are a funder of the museum. They have a Civil War Trail anniversary party tomorrow, annual meeting July 18th. So those are some of the things. Mayor's photo competition is the reception, viewing and voting reception will be in the auditorium on this Thursday, the 11th. And we have received 140 photos that people will be viewing and voting on, which is better than last year. Last year we had 135. So,
And can anybody vote?
anyone can vote.
Young
Families,
constituents.
yeah, young constituents can vote, and we encourage families to vote.
And who chooses the theme?
The mayor does. The mayor chooses.
Would it be possible to have like the top 10 in City Hall for a month?
As a mayor, I can do that. We can make that work.
I mean, I know they were in Taylor Park for a week or two.
No, they were 2 months.
They were there 2 months.
That's really cool.
And we'll do the same again this year. The top 15 or so will be displayed in Taylor Park, hopefully before the Sunflower Festival. So we'll have that in place.
I'm obviously not allowed to the trash very often.
I think that's pretty much everything I have. Jen, is your list long or short?
I've got no list tonight.
No list.
No.
Well, we were giving Chad a run for his
I took
money.
mine out in the DRB. Meg had to put up with my list.
Yeah, I've got 3 quick things. First, a big thank you to Marty and the Public Works team for the rapid response for constituent issues on Bank Street and just meeting around, when Kate and I at the last meeting brought up the stuff about the crossings, railroad crossings, like just getting right on that stuff. I know this is a really busy construction and everything, and you just seem to be everywhere at once and able to accomplish a lot. So very much appreciate that and the team. I hope everything's going great. I wanted to let you all know Speaker Mitzi Johnson is coming up and is going to be doing a pretty casual event to talk about legislative issues and just be in the community on July 23rd at 14 Star at the Room. So that's going to be from 6 to 8 on Tuesday the 23rd. And the other thing is I just started driving a fully electric vehicle about a week ago for work. So the thing that I noticed about our charging infrastructure here in the city is that while we've got our 4 level 2 chargers in the garage, there's a couple up at the hospital that are great. The next thing that we should really be looking at, especially since there's a couple $1 million in VW settlement grants coming down the pipe over the next 2 years, would be to try to get a 40 volt level 3 direct current fast charger. So just wanted to flag that there's grant money available. We should be trying to get one of those here because that level of charger is what is going to make people make the convenience stop to come into the downtown. If we could get one of those downtown, so the level 2s are still slow enough that they're not going to get the people who are coming from Montreal through on 89 to pull off. But if you know that there's going to be one of those DC fast chargers there, you're going to go, oh, I'm going to come stop, get a sandwich, get a latte, walk around for 20 minutes while my battery goes to 80%. So we should be trying to get ourselves some of that grant money and get a DC fast charger in the downtown.
How much
We should look at that as part of Kingman Street, the rebuild. That'd be the best place to,
Somewhere at the top of the block.
without having to tear up what we've already done here.
Yeah.
Rebuilding that street, so.
Are you gonna touch on the noise education?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
We'll swing back around between them. Kate, your list?
Just one thing, we were in Stowe for the Little League tournament recently, and nothing against Stowe, but I think our downtown looks nicer. The other part of that is that they have public restrooms in their downtown. That really struck me as a really nice convenience. Be able to use it clean, not, just off the street go in.
How do you stand on these? Are these considered public, or you choose not to?
These in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we consider them public. People are always welcome to use them. That's always come up as part of the Taylor Park master plan. Poor list and compromise. It's a hard nut to crack. Where do they have them and stuff?
It's on a side street right off Main, like it's halfway down the block, just off the main street. It's on Depot Street, I think.
And they're built specifically for that?
Yeah, so there's a big sign on Main Street, public restroom, so you walk, see it down there, and, they're in pretty good shape, and
Let me check with I see the Stowe manager regularly, ask him how that's going.
I don't know who runs them, but it was really far better than the portalette at the field, right?
Anything else? Maria?
I have a few things actually. I took a walk about a month ago with a crew from which board was that, Jeff?
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. And we were just several of the neighbors joined us when they saw us all walking. And one concern that came up, again, and I've mentioned it in the past, but I just thought I'd throw it out there again, is the possibility of that four-way stop at North Elm and Lake. Because that is a busy intersection, it's a blind intersection when there's things going on. As soon as the Salvation Army building becomes occupied, if it ever does, that's gonna be a real blind spot again when you're trying to get off North Elm. And especially at 2 in the afternoon when immigration lets out and school is letting out, and it seems like everything just congregates at that intersection. And I know it's been explored before, and it's kind of knocked down, but I think I really feel that needs to be looked at again as a four-way stop somehow. Because I know I myself almost got hit there a few weeks ago, turning up. You couldn't see, church was going on, and you can't see. And you definitely can't see down Lake Street, but even if you start edging out, somebody coming down Lake Street heading west, and you just take your life in your hands there. So
just to be clear, you want South Elm paved and you want a four-way stop?
No, she didn't care about South Elm.
no, I don't care about South Elm.
But that's it.
Well, I'm just feeling a little slighted because nothing was mentioned about my street, so. Everybody else's was, but, so that's one thing that I had down here. Another thing, there is a one-way sign on Spruce Street. Chip, did they ever do anything with that one, or?
Not yet.
Okay. I think those arrow signs would be better, one on each side of that corner. The corner of Spruce and LaSalle. There's a one-way sign, it's a square sign. If you're coming down LaSalle, you don't even know what that sign says. And if you're coming up LaSalle, heading west, the sign is behind a tree. Tree branches are covering it. So they're still having, I think it's a little better, but they're having problems going the wrong way on Spruce Street. So I think just a simple one-way arrow sign on each.
Isn't there, don't they have a do not enter? Is there a do not enter sign on that?
I don't
And or no?
think so, no.
It's hard, it's not, none of the signs are really good for noticing as you drive on LaSalle and contemplate entering Spruce Street. That's the problem. I think there's a do not enter sign, there is a one-way sign. But what we need are, I think, are more classic one-way signs
One way, the arrows,
that you
know,
can
with-
see as you approach on the south.
Yes, yes, because you would see the one on the east side of that corner coming down, you can see the one on the west side of the corner coming up, so I think it would cover it fine. I think that would be an improvement there. That's
Anything else?
all I have.
Thanks, Marie.
Yeah.
James, what do you have?
Got nothing.
Okay. Mr. Spooner?
Just a couple of things. The building in Houghton Park, so this year we've actually seen some damage to the building. The backside, you have someone peeled off a whole bunch of the siding. They broke it into tiny little pieces. A bunch of it's on the roof that I can't get, some, you know, throw it all throughout the park. A lot of people have been on the roof this year. They either move a picnic table over, or they bring the trash bin over and they flip it upside down. They've been on the roof. And a lot of the kids will hang out in that back side in the corner, and you can't see them as you're coming down Lower Weldon. You can't see them when you're on South Elm. So I'm almost thinking it might be time for a camera right in that, so you can kind of keep an eye in that corner and that area, especially with all the new plantings they put there. Someone ripped a couple of those up and threw them on top of the building. So thankfully, one of the neighbors saw it up there, got out his ladder, came and replanted it. One of the two lived, so, I mean, I think it's almost time for something down there. I know at one time we had cameras and it's been really quiet the last 4 or 5 years, but it might be time.
Did we roll cameras?
There was a camera inside of, it looked like a motion detector, and it was actually a camera.
Yeah.
I think we need something that's more, this looks like a camera and it's a camera.
Yeah.
Is that street light still in that back corner?
There's a street light there, but it hasn't, I don't think it's connected anymore. It hasn't been on in years and years. And the other thing that once again popped its head up today, and it's, ever since I've been on the city council, comes 3 or 4 times a year. And maybe we can do it while school's in session and get some of the 8th graders here, but understanding how government works, I think would be really good, having city manager, town manager, we could talk about elections at large, what the difference is between select board, city council, what are things that the state handles, what are things that the town or city handles. I'll often get, you know, questions about the intersection up by the complex. These lights, you know, I'll get the lights aren't working, or it's turned, or, you know, I'll get some kind of message, and, you know, you gotta call the town to have them. I can't fix that. So I think that might be an interesting topic. I know the scouts do it every year. I think you ran it last year, and maybe we can invite them and just have a discussion on government. I don't think enough people know what's going on.
I don't know if Curry kind of talked about it, but we talked about at the presidential election having a kids booth as well for kids to vote.
And that's, you know, Congressman Welch was at the parade. He sat there with 16 kids that I was there with, and as soon as he left, every one of them looked at me and said, "Who's that guy?" So it's, you know, it's just, it's things like that, you know, just getting some awareness. They might find some interest in it. So, just a thought.
Don, you want to close with giving a quick review of the noise campaign?
We've been working with messenger marketing to come up with a campaign, multifaceted campaign that could show up physically in the neighborhoods, physically in print and with signage, and could also be delivered via social media with some, you know, a brief 30 to 60 second spot from the mayor that, irony notwithstanding, could be posted on Facebook and shared, etc. We've spent some time trying to get the message right. I think, Kate, can you see that? I think, right now we're focusing on vehicular noise and circling around a message of quiet your ride. And these would be long signs. So this is Whitey, and then up here this says neighborhood zone. Another one says we love good neighbors. Another one says keep our city tranquil. The last one says don't scare the dogs. So the idea is we could print these up, people could come pick them up, City Hall, put them in their lawn. That would all be part of the campaign and the launch.
So, I'd like to thank, Mike, Stephanie, your wife, sort of started to kick that off a little bit with some suggestions and,
There's a motorcycle revving, just as you're saying that, I was having trouble hearing you for a minute.
so thank her for her efforts as well. I think that's been a discussion that we've all had, is that we're not gonna do it by enforcement, it's gonna be more of an education initiative, and, you know, this is a good starting point, and take it from there.
I think if it's fun and everybody's seeing it, I mean, if you record a spot that is a little bit tongue-in-cheek but gets a message across, and then we micro-target, it's really easy for every single person that's on Facebook in this zip code to do. I mean, everyone would see it for, you know, $20 a week or something. I mean, it would be really, really easy for everybody to see that. So yeah, I think it's just great to have that community conversation, because right now it's just like, it's cool to be really loud.
Yeah, no,
for
some people. Anything else for the comments?
Do we have our logo on that?
Yeah.
Everyone's good? Entertain a motion to adjourn? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you all.
You got one in, Jim?